is going to be an empowering period. Tonight's session is a very, needed topic, which is mental health. We all can use some mental health tonight, and we have our amazing speaker. But I want you to please do me a favor. Let's share the link and invite your friends, invite people on your social media to join. It's going to be a great session. Thank you so much for taking your time to come tonight. Please, we'll do a few housekeepings before we start. Just want to say that tonight, if there's any question burning in your heart, we have Brenda here. Brenda, I'm going to bring in shortly. She is an amazing woman, and she's going to introduce herself actually, but this is what she does for a living. She's a mental health practitioner. So she's going to tell us a little bit about herself before she starts the session. But also I want to say, please make sure your lines are muted. And if you have any noise in your background, and also let's make it lively. Let's make it lively. If you have any question, you can put it in the chat box or mute yourself. So we are going to start right now as I bring in our dear sister, friend, Brenda. But before I bring Brenda, I also want to say a little bit about TouchLink. TouchLink is a 501c3 non-profit organization that supports, empowers, and uplifts victims and survivors of domestic violence. And we have been doing this for 10 years. We have been doing this for 10 years. Actually, in a few weeks, we're going to have our first ever gala, and it's going to be amazing. You don't want to miss it. So please help spread the word. Come and hear about the amazing work that TouchLink has done and that we're doing. And also, we're going to have special people at the gala. There's going to be silent auction, raffle, fun, dance, music, at a beautiful place, Pines Manor. So I want you to please be part of this and also invite your friends to join. It's worth much more than the money that we're paying for it. We're going to talk more about that as we go. But tonight, I'm going to invite my sister, my friend, my sister in the Lord, Brenda, to tell us a little bit about herself. Can you introduce? I know the last time you were here, you were married and then with just one child. Now God has increased your boundary. Now you have much more. You have your hands full. So I know you are mother of two. I'm married to one husband.
Good evening. Yes, I was last year, July, I think it was when I spoke last, and I had one. And to my surprise, now there's another. So,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you.
I love expansion. I love, when God just begins to blow our mind, increase us on all sides. It's a blessing. The Bible says children they are the heritage of the Lord. The fruits of the womb is his reward. So that's a blessing. You're welcome. God bless you. Congratulations.
Thank you. So, my short introduction, my name is Brenda. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I'm currently I'm on maternity leave now, but I work in an inpatient facility. I work psychiatric inpatient, treating individuals with mental health issues, ranging from major depression disorder to substance abuse. I also work on an outpatient basis with my own private practice where I'm dealing and treating people like, you and I who just are struggling with everyday mental health issues, not severe, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, and PTSD. Those are kind of the things that I deal with on a day-to-day basis with my outpatient people. And they're just like, you and I,
Mhm.
working people who have children, husbands, wives, everyday people. So that
Before you even start, let me stop you right there before you start, because is it that we have more visibility to mental health, or why do we have an increase in mental health sickness and challenges right now? Is it the visibility, or has it always been like this, or is there something going wrong, or are we just going nuts?
I think this is just my opinion, but I believe that mental health has always been there, but for a long time it's been very stigmatized. And during COVID, I think somebody wrote in the chat, especially after COVID, I think during COVID, people had time to really reflect and think and make people had time to listen and make others aware of various mental health things. And people started to realize, like, oh my gosh, this chest pain that I'm feeling is actually anxiety. This stomach butterflies in my stomach is actually anxiety. This sadness I'm feeling is actually me feeling depressed. So I think people are just more aware of their mental health. Before it was very like, don't talk about it, don't say anything. No, you're not, but now I think people are now open to receiving the help that they have always needed to treat their mental health illness. So it's been there. It's
Wow.
just people are more open now. So
God help us. Thank
yeah,
you.
it's good. It's good.
I'm going to leave you to do your thing. We are eager to hear, listen, and to learn.
Yes. So I'm gonna just share my screen. Um, when I got the topic today, the question was, how do we care for our mental health? And um, in this conversation, especially when we are dealing with domestic violence, it's really important, and not even just domestic violence in our everyday, it's really important to care for our mental health. Can we all see my screen and hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
All righty. So I just want to just kind of start with a general mental health statement and what is mental health. And that includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, how it affects how we think, feel, and act. It also is determined how we handle our stress related to others, and how we make healthy choices. Mental health is important in every stage of our lives, from childhood, adolescence to adulthood, right? So it's not that we are now adults and we are now treating our mental health. We always have to be talking about mental health through the various stages of our life, from birth to old age. So that it's super important that we are managing our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. That is when we say we are mentally healthy, we are managing all of these things, balancing them well. That's in theory. Um, so now we talk about mental illness. So mental illness is a disruption in our mental health, right? So it involves changes in our emotion and our thinking and our behavior. It's associated with distress or problems functioning in our social environments, our work environments, and our family activities. So when there is a disruption, and it's not, a disruption for a day, maybe you're not feeling too good and you just need a moment. This is a disruption that affects you on a day-to-day basis. You struggle with maybe working or socializing or engaging with family and friends, and it is a problem. However, there are people who are functioning and I call them functionally mentally ill, right? They are depressed, but they're able to go to work. Even though they're at work, they may not be performing at their best. They are depressed, or they have anxiety, but they're able to be around their family. So these are just it's not all that it is, and I will get into more detail about it later. Mental illness is common. I have here some statistics. 1 in 5 adults experience some form of mental illness. So if you are working in a building of 100 people, that is 20 people that you may be encountering that have mental health issues. Um, and just some of the other statistics: 1 in 24 have serious mental illness, 1 in 12 have substance use disorders. But the important thing to remember is that mental illness is treatable, and the vast majority of people who suffer with mental health issues, mental illness, continues to function in their daily lives. So it is disrupted, but it is not like they cannot do anything. It's not the end of the world. All of these things are treatable. Just some domestic violence stats, because domestic violence is around us. An average of nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused, right? So this session is an hour. So every minute. So this session is an hour. So 1,200 people in this hour that we are talking will experience some form of will experience some form of domestic violence. And it equates to more than 10 million men and women. They say 1 in 4 women experience some form of intimate partner violence, and they also say 1 in 9 men. So we can't exclude the men. Men also experience some form of domestic violence. So it's not just a woman issue, it is an everybody's issue. And men unfortunately may not want to talk about it because of the shame, but there are some men that are also being victimized in their homes. And there's a few types of abuse: physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, and financial abuse. And we only sometimes think of domestic violence as somebody abusing somebody physically, but most of the time they all go hand in hand. There's emotional. You are also probably being berated, saying negative things about you. You'll never find anybody better than me. You're ugly. Who will want you? Though that affects your emotional. Some people are being sexually abused in their. You may think somebody's married, but you can be sexually abused in your marriage or in your relationship, as well as financial abuse, which is huge, right? Many people want to leave their relationship or leave the situation, but they think about the finances, especially if there are children involved. You're scared. You're like, I can't leave. How am I going to take care of my kids? I can't leave. Who's going to put a roof over my head? Who's going to feed? Who's going to clothe? So if the person who's being victimized has no access to finances, those are some of the questions that come about. So that's just some of the types of abuse. Normally when I talk about mental illness in the domestic violence setting, there's various forms of mental health issues. However, I really stick to talking about depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. And you'll hear me say PTSD a lot because I don't want to have tongue tied. We're saying post-traumatic stress, so I will say PTSD. But for those who may not know, it means post-traumatic stress disorder. Um, so we'll start with PTSD. And PTSD is a psychiatric disorder that occurs when people experience a traumatic event. And the trauma can be anything that you deem traumatic. And I know this thing says natural disasters, serious accidents, terrorist attacks, but I believe if you deem it to be traumatic, if it has affected you in any way, we cannot minimize your trauma. It's yours. So I always kind of say, like, if I hit my hand and I injure my hand so bad and I never want to injure my hand again and it has traumatized me, that is my trauma. So it's anything that you deem serious, an accident, anything. So domestic violence is a huge trauma, right? We just mentioned emotional, physical, sexual, and financial abuse. That is a trauma. And in that, individuals may experience things like re-experiencing, and I'll explain what all of this is: avoiding and numbing, hyperarousal, and mood changes. So re-experiencing, some people may have been removed from the situation, the domestic violence situation, right? But it could be 10 years and they're walking through a mall and they hear a loud noise and they're immediately back in that domestic violence situation, reliving what they may have experienced. And that's just kind of re-experiencing something. So granted, yes, you might have moved on, you might be living your life. It is still with you. Trauma is embedded in our brain. We might tuck it in the back, but something sometimes might reignite it. Avoiding and numbing. Many people who suffer with mental illness, instead of dealing with the problem, they may try and sadly turn to drugs or alcohol to help them numb what they're experiencing. And then there's hyperarousal. They're overly vigilant. They hear that noise and they're turning. They're always looking, always very aware of their environment, over aware. And mood changes, you're sad, you're happy, you're up, your moods are going to be up and down. Um, and please, if anybody has any questions, anything, please stop me. Um, I because I will just keep going, but I do want this to be interactive. I do want people to share. As I go along, I'm going to share some things that I've experienced in my practice and witnessing people who I've witnessed. So, I just want others to share their stories, because in sharing, you will hopefully help other people. When I talk about anxiety disorders, I talk about two: generalized anxiety and panic disorders. Generalized anxiety is just persistent excessive worry, and it could be worry over anything, and it's ongoing worry. It doesn't stop. You're always anticipating a disaster. You're always concerned, maybe money, maybe your health, family, whatever issues, you're always worried about this. It consumes your mind, it consumes your everyday. You have you with general anxiety, you find it difficult to control your worry. So it's not that you worry and you just kind of like, oh, I'll figure the solution. You're always worried. I don't know. Does somebody have something you want to say?
So that's it.
I'm sorry.
That is just it.
I think somebody have a question on the chat box.
Okay, I do read it says, how do you deal with the mood changes? I think that one, it's really important to be aware that you're changing your mood, right? So you can't deal with something that you don't know you're doing. And sometimes when people are experiencing mood changes, it takes somebody on the outside to tell them like, oh, you're really irritable today. You're really angry today. You're really sad today. They may not be aware. So I think the first thing is being aware of the mood changes. And then I'll get into it later, but seeking help is super important. You're going to want to get help in whatever form that means, getting a counselor of some sort, because we may not be able to help ourselves in this situation. And you may need an expert to help you with tools that you could use to better manage some of the mood changes. Because with everything that you've experienced, it's not going to go away overnight. So you want to be able to better manage that with the help of an expert, usually, and support systems and various things that you could do. And I will definitely talk more about that later. Um, some general anxiety symptoms, there's physical symptoms. You may feel tired, dizzy, body aches, dry mouth, you sweat, shortness of breath, abdominal, stomach aches, feel sick, headaches, pins and needles. I don't know how many times I hear from primary care providers that they get patients that come into their office. And a primary care provider is your everyday general practice. You go for your regular checkup doctor. And these doctors are sending their patients for MRIs or sending their patients for CAT scans. Oh, my stomach hurts. Go to a stomach doctor. I have headaches. Go to a neurologist. And they can't find anything wrong with these individuals. It's literally their mental health is unstable at the moment. And that is what is bringing up a bunch of physical symptoms, because we only think of it in our mind, but our mind controls our body. And when our mind is not stable, it can affect our body. So people have pins and needles. People can't sleep. They can't eat. They gain weight. They lose weight. So these are things that we have to look for when you're dealing with somebody who might have anxiety. And our psychological symptoms include feeling restless, feeling on the edge. You feel like something's about to happen. You could be safe, but you will just feel like something's about to happen. You can't focus, and you are maybe irritable, and that goes to the mood changes. And then I talk about panic. So being panicked is an episode. So when you are panicked, it's an episode of intense fear. If anybody sees me on an airplane, they may see me holding on to my seat, because when I hate flying and I feel panicked on an airplane. So we talk about how to change mood changes. I might get irritable on the airplane. I might not want anybody to talk to me. And in that moment, I have to breathe and relax and listen to music, whatever to do to kind of help, because I'll be having heart palpitations, shortness of breath. I feel dizzy. My stomach might hurt. So in that moment, these are some of the symptoms you might be feeling, and they're short-lived. But some of these moments are so severe for people that they end up in the emergency room thinking that they're having a heart attack. And that's what makes up a lot of ER visits, right? You're feeling your heart is racing. You're having a heart attack. You feel weak. You feel faint. Numbness again, numbness and tingling. You're sweating profusely. Your chest hurts. You can't breathe. You feel like you're losing control. And then you go to the emergency room and the doctor tells you your EKG is fine. You're not having a heart attack. You just had a panic attack. And again, that is what brings up a lot of people to the emergency rooms or doctor's offices. And the last mental health illness I will talk about is depression. Depression is a mood disorder that causes a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest. And the key word here is persistent. This isn't just you feel sad for a day, maybe you got a bad grade on an exam or something, you feel down about it for a day. This is persistent, consistent. It's called major depression or clinical depression. It affects how you feel, how you think, how you behave. It leads to a variety of emotions and physical problems. You may have trouble dealing with your day-to-day activities, and sometimes you feel as if life is not worth living. And that's a very extreme case. When people feel depressed, they feel sad, anxious, empty. So it goes back to feeling anxiety. You feel hopeless, irritable. You feel guilty, worthless, helpless. You lose interest in hobbies or things that you enjoy doing. You have low energy. You have difficulty moving sometimes. You feel restless, difficulty concentrating, poor sleep, poor appetite. Um, your body might hurt you. Your stomach may bother you. You may have headaches, physical things. And then worst case scenario is thoughts of not wanting to be alive anymore, or even attempting to hurt yourself in suicide attempts. And if anybody is having, and just to clarify, suicide is when you have direct violence towards yourself, where you want to end your life. And I think it's important to kind of talk about signs and symptoms or warning signs of suicide, because that, that's the worst case scenario. Although there's some people who may not display any signs or may say they're fine and they complete suicide, but the ones that do have signs and symptoms, they talk about wanting to die. They tell people they want to die. And that's important, because if somebody says they want to die, that's when you want to intervene. They feel empty, they feel hopeless. They're planning or looking at ways. Their online searches are about suicide. They are keeping pills. They're buying a gun of some sort. They talk about feeling guilt or shame. They feel trapped. They feel like there's no way out of how they're feeling. The pain is unbearable. How they feel is so unbearable, both physically and emotionally. They talk about being a burden to others. They may use drugs and alcohol to try and numb. They're anxious, agitated. They withdraw from family, friends. So these are just some warning signs. Changes in eating, anger, doing risky things like driving 150 miles the opposite direction on the parkway, things like that. Things, that you wouldn't think to do. They talk about death, they think about death. They send messages to family and friends saying goodbye. I don't know how many times I've gone on Facebook or Instagram or something, and I see somebody sending out cryptic messages like, this will be the last time you hear from you, and people immediately rush in and call 911 to help rescue that individual, because at that point they're looking for help in one way or another. This is their last cry for help. And some people put their affairs in order. They make a will. So when we talk about how we can treat our mental health, our mental illnesses, especially for mental illness, we talk about like psychotherapy, medications. Sadly, some people need to be hospitalized. If you are suicidal, usually you need to be hospitalized. Complementary and alternative medicine, help, self-help, peer support groups, and there's other treatments. And in the domestic violence world, physical and there's a huge impact on our mental health in the domestic violence world. You have, with the abuse, it's significantly higher for people to have PTSD. It's significantly higher for individuals that have depression, anxiety, issues with substance abuse. And it's very significantly high for people to have thoughts of wanting to die, because they don't feel like there's any way out but death. So that's important to think about and consider. So that just kind of brings me to like why we're talking today and what we have to understand, and why it's really important for us to take care of our mental health. So our mental health is our emotional and mental health. Mental health is emotional and important because it is a vital part of our lives. It impacts our thoughts, our behaviors, and our emotions. Being healthy emotionally can promote productivity, effectiveness, and activities in our life, our work, our caregiving, our families, our social environments, our church, our homes, our communities. When we are mentally healthy, it is important. It plays a huge factor in everything we do. how we mother, how we father, how we are as a spouse, how we are as friends, how we are as coworkers. Our mental health impacts everything. It's important to take part in ensuring that your mental health is being taken care of, because it's not just going to happen on its own. There are things that you have to do because life is going to life. And I say that because there's nobody that walks around on this earth without things that happen to them. So you want to be able to have those built up coping skills so that you can go through life, because it's going to happen, whatever that is. It could be you lose a job. It could be you have a death, sadly. It could be you are not feeling well. You want to make sure that you have those tools to equip yourself to be mentally ready for whatever comes your way. So it says here that it plays an important part in your health of your relationships and allows you to adapt to changes in your life and cope with adversities. So adversities are anything. So I don't want to just be the one talking, but I do want people to share maybe how they care for their mental health in any situation. I have a list here which we'll go over, but does anybody have anything that they do to care for their mental health?
Thank you so much. That is actually very powerful. And I like your question. How do I care for my mental health? What I do is to create a me time. I create a me time. I think it's important to have some time to ourselves. At times we just run, 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 run. We are not having any time at all for us. We don't say no. We want to do everything, and people kind of just shoulder everything on us, and we are just taking everything on, right? We are not saying no. I think learn to say no to some things, especially when you have your plate full. That's also one of the ways you can take care of yourself. And then create some self-care. That has helped a lot, and then prioritize what needs to be done. Prioritize your workload. What is priority? And it's okay not to finish. It's okay. That's
Yep.
what I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely, that is, all of those things are like spot on. Making sure you take care of yourself. I know for myself, I like to leave the kids with my husband and go and get my nails done and take care of myself, whatever that means. If that means I go get food by myself, my favorite meal, or I even just go for a drive sometimes just to have that silence. Um, I say no a lot of times to people. If I can't do something, I will say no. Something else, something that I do that I've done in the past, and sometimes I take breaks from social media and the news because it could be very overwhelming for myself to kind of see all of those things that are happening. Somebody here wrote that they take short walks. And I think that's another great thing to do, to just clear your mind, get fresh air, get sun. Before I talked about alternative treatments to our depression, right? Getting sunlight is an alternative treatment. And it seems so minor, but in the wintertime, people feel really down and depressed because there's no sunshine. People are inside more. They're not outside. They're not getting fresh air. Their windows are closed. So taking a short walk is actually a great way to manage your mental health.
I
So
want,
I'm
I,
listening.
I wanted to also say, I don't know what everybody's able to do, but sometimes once a month I'll go stay in a hotel
Mm.
just by myself so I can like have my peace. Sometimes I just like it to be quiet. I mean, everybody's different, but sometimes I just like it to be quiet and I'll just go stay in a hotel room right in New Jersey. Most times in Piscataway, I just go and then I just go home the next day.
I think that's actually really great. That's a good idea. I might add that to my list. It's, you just need your personal time. Like if your house is a busy house, you got lots of things going, it's really nice to unwind and sleep in somebody else's bed and have them make it up for you, right? Or watch TV uninterrupted. Like those are things that people can do to manage their self-care. So I do have a list here. If anybody else has something else that they want to share, please let me know, but I will kind of run through this list. I have here that we have to be mindful of the way we speak to ourselves. And I feel like it starts with that. Being negative all the time. Like I said earlier, life is gonna life. And when I say that, I mean, when I say lives, I mean like things happen in life. And we have to be mindful how we talk to ourselves when those things are happening. When we have a negative attitude, when you say, oh God, it's never gonna get better, that's what you're putting out. That's what you're putting out. And that those statements are negative. And those negative thoughts are going to go back in our mind, and we're not going to get any better if we start to speak with ourselves negatively. If somebody says oh, look at you, you're horrible looking, and you agree, that is speaking negatively about yourself. So you have to be mindful of how you speak to yourself and what you allow to penetrate your thoughts and your mind. And sometimes it's okay to not be okay. And when we spoke about how do you deal with the mood changes, it's really important to be self-aware. We have to be mindful of our emotions. We have to be mindful of not, if we're not okay, being okay with that and trying to work towards finding a solution to how we can be okay. We talk about getting organized. Um, I see a lot when people are really down or they're really anxious, they're let their space get away from them. Their space is unorganized, dirty, they create clutter, they find it hard to do dishes and do their laundry, and it creates an excessive amount of dirt in your area. And how could you feel good if your area isn't clean or kept? Even at work, I can tell when somebody's having a rough day when I look at their desk and there's papers all over and piles of this. And how could you gather your thoughts when everywhere around you is scattered? So you also want to, organize yourself. And I have here organizing your finances. If you're struggling with money, I'm no financial advisor, but it's important to get organized with your finances, creating budgets, creating goals for yourself, for your finances. You can't just say, I want to have money. And like, what does that mean? Do you want to have $1,000? Do you want to be a millionaire? When you have those goals for yourself, you have to get organized. And with organization comes establishing routines. It's important for you to establish a routine and healthy routines. Um, and I know for some, we are very quick to wake up in the morning and grab our phones. It's a bad habit for many of us, myself included. And we grab our phones and first thing we might check is the new not the news, is our emails. Like we immediately start working from home. Where's the That's not a good routine to keep. You want to make sure that maybe you're starting off your day in prayer, starting off your day with a Bible verse of some sort, to start your day off on a positive note. I find that when I do those things, of course, it is helpful in the trajectory of my day. But the moment I start off with work, I get in that work mode and I don't stop. So it's important that we establish healthy routines of exercising, routines of drinking water, enough water for the day, routines of eating healthy, making sure we stop and actually eat lunch. How many of us go through the day and we look up and it's the time to go home from work and we realize we didn't even eat lunch? Those are all part of taking care of your mental health. Setting boundaries, saying no when you need to say no is important. PY had said that sometimes you don't want to take on too much. So that's important for you to say no. If you can't do it, just say no. Believe me, the world will not end. They'll find another way. And also for my people who have 200 hours of PTO at work, or they've not taken any time off, they have accumulated vacation. There's no reward for accumulating vacations. Take the time off. You don't even have to go anywhere. You could just be at home and relaxing, but just to get out of going to work and taking care of yourself. There's no reward at the end of the year for not taking time off. I've never seen it. I don't know anybody who's done it. The jobs do not reward you. Take care of yourself. My job knows my motto. I'm sorry, this is not my father's company. I'm not going, no, I cannot. I'm taking my time off. Please approve my vacation. Those are the things that they know. You have to take care of yourself. Surrounding yourself with positive people. We talked about self-care, counselors and therapists. If you need those things, please do not hesitate. If you have insurance, they're available for you. Even they now have them on apps. They make them so available for you to get a therapist. Exercising, eating healthy, staying hydrated. We talk about adequate sleep. We have to sleep. Rest is so important. So I do encourage people, if they're struggling to sleep, why are you struggling to sleep? Because 4 hours of sleep is not sufficient. They require at least, they tell you at least 6 to 7 or 8 hours of sleep a night. I know many of us are not getting that. Why aren't we getting that? Are we up all night scrolling on social media? Turn off your phones, turn off the TV, unwind, get some rest. That's super important. Relaxing. Practicing gratitude. I put a star next to that because, like I said, life can life, but if you're not practicing being grateful for the things that are happening, that are going well, the fact that you're able to wake up in the morning, you're able to eat, you're able to breathe on your own. These are the things you have to think of, the positive things that are happening. Because if you want to think of the negative things, that's again going back to how we speak to ourselves. We want us to be positive. I'm so grateful that I woke up this morning. I have life. I can walk, I can talk. No machine is breathing for me. No apparatus is walking for me. These are things we have to be grateful for. Focus on being positive, staying connected with people, not isolating. And we also want to make sure that we set goals for ourselves and priorities for ourselves and prioritize ourselves. So those are just some things that we could do to manage our mental health. And I always put this picture in my presentations and most presentations, because it says you can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first. When you're on an airplane, they tell you to put your mask on first and then help somebody. Because if you are drowning, you cannot help somebody else. If you can't breathe, how can you help somebody else breathe? So take care of yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You are the priority. Nobody's going to take care of you better than you. So you have to take care of yourself first. And then when you're taking care of yourself, you can possibly pour into other people if that is what you want to do. So it is important to take care of yourself first. And we talked about self-care, but just to define it, self-care is taking the time to do things to help you live well and improve your physical and mental health. Self-care is a practice of an individual looking after their own health using the knowledge and information available to them. It is a decision-making process that empowers. So this is Empowerment Hour. Taking self-care is empowering individuals to look after their own health efficiently and conveniently. Self-care is an activity that is deliberately in order to take care of our mental health, emotional, and physical well-being. So it's intentional. We have to be intentional when it comes to taking care of our mental health. Mental health isn't just going to rain from the sky. We have to do things to be intentional about taking care of ourselves. And I know we spoke about some stuff, but I just have some creating a no list, healthy eating, sleeping well, exercise. One thing that we didn't mention is going to the doctor and taking care of your medical needs, going for a checkup, going for your pap smear, going for your mammograms. That is self-care. You want to be healthy, that is part of it, taking care of your medical needs. Some people go on their birthday. That is their reminder for them to do their annual exams. So whatever works for you. Some people use January, the start of a new year, to start fresh, but it's important to do these needful things to manage your physical well-being, because when your body breaks down, your mind will not be at peace. So you want to make sure you're taking care of yourself. So if you're not scheduled your eye exams, if you're not gone to the dentist this year, it is May. These are things that you have to do, taking care of yourself. Relaxation practices, prayer, meditation, all those things are important. Spending time with people you love, doing a relaxing activity. And here it says doing one every day. And we mentioned going for walks. That's a relaxing activity. It doesn't have to be a 20-mile walk. It could be going around the block of your house, going around your apartment complex, going on a treadmill and just walking for 10,000 steps. Those are things that you can do to manage your self-care, to implement self-care. It says here, do at least one pleasurable activity every day. Cooking, meeting with friends. Maybe you may not be able to meet with your friends, but talking to a friend. If you have a commute to work, if it's 30 minutes, maybe you call your friend, hey sis, hey bro, how are you? How was your day? Just wanted to hear from you. Somebody that you enjoy hearing from. Going to check into a hotel when you have that time, going to a movie that you've been looking forward to, seeing a show, a concert, any of those things, going out to a restaurant you've been anticipating going to. Self-care doesn't have to be expensive. It could just be something as simple as going for a walk to something as major as booking a vacation to Asia. Whatever your idea of self-care is, you make it yours. And look at any opportunity to laugh. That's so important. Laughter is the best medicine, right? That's what they say. So it's important to laugh and take care of yourselves. Does anybody have any questions? Anything they want to add?
One of the things one of the things I even think about is that we normally don't do, most of us don't do, is to discover your neighborhood or look for information, the historical information about where you live. You'll be surprised at what you will discover. Some of the ancient, information, ancient places, that you don't even know exist right next door. Like for instance, I live in Piscataway. When was it founded? Just something different that you normally don't do. Historical information, it might even be in your county. And some of these are even free if you go to your library, not necessarily studying or anything, but I'm just saying look for historical information if you have interest in that. But there are so many other things that people that first settled in this town, who are those people? What was their lifestyle about? Just learning about people, places, and things. That helps also to take away some of the disturbing, news or disturbing information that, makes us sick.
Yeah, we live in New Jersey, which is, people might feel boring, but New Jersey has lots of things to offer people. We live so close to the beach, and we live so close to New York City. There's so many things you could do to explore just your own state, your own neighborhood alone. That could be some self-care. I heard somebody else wanted to say something earlier.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I was actually at a networking event the other day, and there was this company there that talked about the importance of laughter, and that even if you were to even like make yourself laugh, that's even important, because how laughter help us release different types of hormones that we have, different types of stressors. And if you could laugh, your brain doesn't know the difference between fake laughing or regular laughing. So if you laugh, you let go all of those different stress hormones. And so, like you said, laughter is really good for you. So I just wanted to chime in on that.
You hear
And
that?
these are different studies that also support those findings.
It's definitely important to laugh. Laughter is literally the best medicine. Like, imagine just not feeling your best and you just get a nice hearty laugh. It could be about anything. Um, that's so important. Somebody said go to some comedy shows. There are so many comedy shows. We live in New Jersey. There's a comedy place, I want to say, in New Brunswick. It's called the Laugh Factory. Find your favorite comedian or randomly just pick somebody and just go see a show. It will be it'll be worth it. So does anybody have any other self-care things that they do? Okay. So oh, so I just always talk about a lot of times when I have talks with, they always ask how to find a therapist, or people, kind of feel like, and there's nothing wrong with getting a therapist or a counselor of any type. You don't want to wait till something is happening to have somebody you want to talk to, or look to find resources, people whom you can speak to. So there are some ways. Um, the first way is if you have insurance through your job, I encourage you to go through your insurance provider. It will be maybe a copay of $5 or even free. A lot of insurances are doing it for free because they are understanding the impact of mental health. So you can always go through your insurance provider. Um, or some therapists work on a sliding scale. So they know you make this amount of money a year, they know you can afford to pay this amount of money, and they're open to taking that. For my individuals, my people who are in school, a lot of schools have free mental health services, and people have to really tap into that. They always have a department that you can go and get some form of counseling for a semester or 2 semesters, or so for however long you are in the school. You can always seek out mental health services. There's people who do it for free. I'm not, those are few and far in between, but there are always some people that do pro bono work, and online services. So there are Talkspace, BetterHelp. These are online apps. You literally can do it at the tip of your fingers. We are on our phones all the time. We might as well use them for our benefits. You can log into one of these Talkspace, BetterHelp things. Some of them take insurances, some of them have small fees where you pay, and you will find a therapist through those means. And then also your church, your religious organization. There's always somebody that you could speak to in your church or whichever religion you practice, but usually church. You can always talk with somebody who can counsel you through whatever it is that you may be dealing with at that moment. So these are just kind of some ways or some resources where you could start to seek help if that is what you're trying to accomplish. And it's no shame in seeking help. It's no shame in talking to somebody. There's no shame in any of these things. Like I believe everybody should have a therapist, to have somebody that they can talk to, and an unbiased person who they can just have conversation with. Because I don't know anybody who lives this perfect life. Life is going to life. So it's nice to have somebody that you have on standby who can help you manage your mental health. So there's no shame, please.
Yeah, that's very important that you said there's no shame, because there's always this you know, argument around the fact that, people will talk about you, about your business. You don't want your business out there. You can't put all your whatever out there, spread all your linen outside, something like that. But it's a lie, really. For you, not everybody is bad. And also know who your friends are, know who you can talk to. I mean, look at somebody that's trustworthy, somebody reliable. But at the end of the day, you're getting something, you want to be relieved. Problem, that you talk about is already half solved. But when you don't talk about it, when everybody around you is bad, everybody around you talk about you, that actually is mental health issues. When you think everybody that's around you have a problem, they know exactly that you have a problem. Then you better seek for professional help.
Everybody cannot be the problems. There's some people that everyone is the problem. Sometimes you have to really have good self-reflection and know that maybe you are the problem. And that is when you go talk to somebody, because there's no shame in that. The people out there want to help you. They talk to so many people, they won't even, whatever you're dealing with might be minor compared to whatever. So it's no shame in talking to anybody. So I encourage people to don't feel shamed. Please reach out and talk to somebody if you are in need of that. And then and you also have TouchLink, who are awesome resources for if you need help, if you don't know where to turn or who to talk to. TouchLink is there to be a resource for you. So they can also help you look for if you need a therapist, or look for somebody whom you may need to talk to, or whatever resources you may need. there is TouchLink. So please do not hesitate to reach out. The information is there for just to have somebody to have that resource available for you. Okay. But before I finish, does anybody have any questions, anything that's been on their mind that they care to share? Okay. Well, in the beginning, we spoke about TouchLink being 10 years. 10 years is a big deal. They are having a gala and a fundraiser on June 14th, Friday, June 14th from 7 to 11 in Edison at Pine Manor. I do encourage you all to be there. It's going to be an awesome day. This is the QR code. Scan the QR code to RSVP. I hope to see everybody here. Don't come alone. Come with somebody. Invite people. This is going to be an awesome event. I just really encourage, there's going to be so many activities and so many different speakers, people just celebrating 10 years of being a support to individuals like myself and other people. So I just encourage everyone to join, to come, bring your partners, invite friends. It is going to be an awesome event. $100 per person. It is going to be way more than this price. So I do encourage you all to come.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brenda. It's been informative. I hope everybody has been blessed tonight with so much information that we received. So like she said, if you have not registered, please, this is the time to register. We actually have a deadline on registration because of logistics and head count. So we encourage everybody to register, and also please invite your colleagues at work, your friends to be part of this. It's going to be an awesome night. There's a lot of gifts, silent auction that's going to take place, raffle that's going to take place, dance, super MCs. It's going to be a night of fun. So I really want to please encourage. We are going to have we have a Vision 2025. So there's going to be information about transitional. We're raising funds to get a transitional home. The transitional home is going to have minimum of 5-bed home, and it's possible. I trust God that is going to make it possible. And also with your help, with all our friends, we're going to ensure that we have like Oasis place, a place where people is not just an homeless shelter, but is like an extension of their home. So that's what we want to create. So please, we're encouraging everybody. I need you. We need you to work with us to help us spread the word. So thank you, everybody. If there's no other question, unless there's any question, if there's no other question, we're ending tonight's session. I tell you, if I were you, I'll go with all this information that we have received tonight. Even if you don't need it, it's useful for your friends, your colleagues, your neighbor. You never know, let's just pay attention to people around us, and God will bless us for it. So thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. It's been a privilege, having you all. And thank you, Brenda. Thank you for all that you do, not even shying back every time we call you, for your expertise. You give us all this expert advice, expert opinion. God bless you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Good night, and I'll see you at the gala. Okay? I'll see you at the gala. God bless you. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining. Take care. God bless.
Good night.
My praise, I will give you all my praise any day, anytime. All my praise, I will give you all my praise any day, anytime. All my praise, I will give you all my praise.
Let's get it like. Thank you, Jesus. Some people trust in gold and
Good night,
silver.
everyone. I'm going.
Some people trust in mortal men. Yeah. I'll put my hope in the Creator. 'Cause in His hands, I'm just a pen. Yeah. I know that He will write write my story. This is my story. He will make everything work for me.